Hi, I'm Keri Murphy, and welcome to Spotlight, where we showcase incredible entrepreneurs and their stories. And speaking of incredible entrepreneur, today I am here with the owner and founder of Outrageous Freedom, Allyson Roberts. Allyson, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
We all want freedom. We all want the ability to live the life that we see for ourselves and that we want for ourselves. But there are so many of us that struggle with taking that leap, trusting ourselves, and not doing things that we feel like we need to do to please everyone else,
Yes.
right? And doing things that are really true to us. How do you help people find that outrageous freedom?
You know, a lot of people, Keri, they look for it inside of themselves last. They're looking for it in a book, in a seminar, in a workshop. And what I teach people to do really is first just get really quiet and trust the voice that is inside of all of us. We all have it in there, just with our phones and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and our kids.
Right? I was like, what inner voice?
Right.
There's so many other voices
Exactly.
out there. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's that is the very first thing that we do is we just get really, really quiet.
And would you consider that like trusting your intuition?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've had many times in your life where you've had to decide to trust your intuition or do what everyone else wanted you to do. Can you maybe share with us a time in your life where you really kind of went against the grain of what you felt everyone else wanted you to do? Because I think we all struggle with that.
Absolutely. So I was 19 and found myself pregnant, not married. And the baby's father, all the way through to my own parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, they were all begging me to abort my child. And, you know, I know it's a personal choice for everyone, but for me personally, I just couldn't do it. And every single place that I turned, the door was closing. So to make a really long story short, the only person that I felt like my last resort was my mom. And so I went to her, moved in with her, didn't tell her that I was pregnant because I was just terrified. And so finally,
You couldn't hide it.
You can't
hide it being pregnant for too long.
I couldn't hide it. And so she realized I was pregnant and she wrote me a check to have an abortion. And I had already made the decision that I absolutely was not going to do that. And so I went to campus that day. I was going to college, and I came home and all of my stuff was locked inside of her house, and she had changed the locks.
Wow. How did you feel at that moment?
So alone, you know, and of course when those types of things happen, we question that voice, right?
Right.
Like, are we crazy?
Yeah.
But I really just got really still. I was sitting in my car in the driveway. It was pouring down rain, and I just got really quiet and really still. And I knew that I had to just continue the pregnancy. So
And at 19, I mean, that's always a big decision. It doesn't matter what your age is,
Yes.
but at 19, that's a big decision when everyone else is telling you to do something different.
yes, it was very, very scary. So I had $1.78 to my name, and I stopped at a grocery store and bought deodorant because I wasn't going to be a smelly homeless person. And I went.
If I'm gonna live in my car, I'm gonna smell good doing
I'm
it.
going to smell good doing
Right.
it. I'm not going to be offensive to myself or others.
Right.
So I was going to school. I was still going to class every single day. And one of my instructors, who, you know, is one of those angels that just shows up in your life, he had been watching me sort of behind the scenes, watching me walk to my car and not start the car. And he finally figured out that I was living in my car. It took him about 2 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah.
And one night it was getting really cold. A lot of people don't think it gets cold in Georgia, but it does. And I was hungry and cold,
And pregnant.
and pregnant.
Yeah.
Very pregnant. And so I listened to that voice, and I just prayed. You know, I just prayed for a tribe. I just said, God, please bring someone to me that can help me. I don't know what, and my gas tank was also empty, so I couldn't go anywhere. So I was just like,
So what did you do?
My instructor knocked on my window of my car like 30 minutes later.
Wow.
And he said, get out of the car. I've already told my wife about you. You're going to come, and you can't stay with us forever, but you're going to stay with us until we can figure something out.
That
So,
is amazing.
yeah, it was great.
And so fast forward, You know, this is all about trusting yourself and doing things that you feel like sometimes are against the grain in order to live your most outrageous freedom. So what happened after that?
I placed my son for adoption, and he was born handicapped. It was really tough to walk out of that hospital without him in my arms, especially I was in the maternity ward and all these other moms are leaving the
With their
hospital with
babies.
their babies.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, in that moment, Keri, I just said, you know what? I listened to the voice. I found my tribe, and I'm just going to step into this decision. I'm going to know that it's absolutely the absolute right decision for myself and for him. And the night before I had signed the papers to place him for adoption, I was questioning it, like really questioning my decision. And I heard very clearly, if you sign the papers, you'll see him again. And this was a closed adoption. Like he didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about him. His parents, nothing. And so 7 years ago, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a feeling that I needed to start the process. And so through a series of processes, I faxed the paperwork in. And the very next day, the social worker called me and told me that he and I had faxed our paperwork in at the exact same time.
That is just mind-blowing, that at the same exact time you guys faxed in your papers to find each other.
His was 9:07.
Oh my gosh, Allyson, that is just remarkable. And so since then, now you have a relationship with him.
Yes, and his parents and his sister. And it's like
that is such a beautiful story. Yeah, and such a great example of following your own inner compass, because that really is the key to outrageous freedom. I mean, we see freedom as financial freedom and life freedom and to be able to live where we want, but it's also the ability to trust ourselves and to do what we want. And most people live a life that they feel like they have to through religion or parents or family or whatever status quo they feel they need to fit in, right? And so you talk about finding your tribe is a big part of finding your outrageous freedom.
Yes.
Back when you were 19, we didn't have things like Facebook and Twitter. And
we didn't even have computers.
Right? Yeah, right. How far we've come.
Yeah, way back there.
And so do you feel like now it is easier to find a tribe to support you?
I do. I mean, you know,
it seems like there's a lot of noise too, and a lot of haters.
There is a lot of noise, but thank God we have things like Meetup and Facebook. And I don't necessarily know that you can find your tribe on Pinterest or Twitter necessarily, but there are groups on Facebook. You can type in anything like, you know, unwed and pregnant. You can type, you know, going through a divorce, unhappily married, you know, whatever it is that you're struggling with. Because a lot of times we cling to what we feel is our tribe, and they're not really looking out for our best and highest good.
Right. They're looking out for their best and highest good. Even though they love us, they love you, and they want what's best for you, sometimes that's not always what is best for you.
Right. And it doesn't mean, you know, that we have to get rid of that tribe. We just have to make adjustments.
Right. And there is, I think when people are going through a time in their life where you are going against the grain, it feels very isolating, because like you said, you felt very alone.
Yes.
And that's where if you can find other people that are going through similar things, right, then you don't feel alone anymore, and you do feel more supported. Now, when you work with people, Allyson, you find that people are kind of like hitting their head up against a wall.
Yes.
Like they're asking themselves, how did I get here again? Like, I thought I did the self-help. I thought I went to Tony Robbins. I thought I figured it out.
Yes.
But they continue to bump their head up against that obstacle. Share just a little bit about how you help them get to the other side of that.
So the reason that we're banging our head up against the wall is because we have subconscious beliefs that are no longer serving us. And everyone's like, well, what can I do with the subconscious belief? It's subconscious.
Right.
Thanks, Allyson.
I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out, right? But we look at our patterns, and we look at the decisions that we make, and we can see together what that subconscious belief system is. It's not just one belief, it's a system of beliefs.
Right.
And then we can start to say, okay, you know, what system of this particular belief do you want to start recreating? Because it is scary for a lot of people, Keri, to just jump. You know, a lot of people, they want to leave their marriage, but they're so financially tied to it, or they want to go back to school, but they have 3 children.
Sure.
You know, they have their dreams and their desires, and the subconscious beliefs are what are keeping them stuck. So once we unleash those and untangle all of that, then they can start to see that, you know, the freedom is inside of them, and they can do outrageous things, but it doesn't have to be outrageous disruption.
Right, sure.
Right.
And it's one of those things where when you're aware of the patterns that you continue to do that are subconscious, when you make them conscious, then you can actually create change.
Yeah.
Right? But when we don't notice what we're doing over and over again, it's like, how many times do we keep dating the same sort of person?
Yes.
And we're like, why is it not working, right? Because
Right.
that pattern has not been brought up to the surface to really realize what we're attracting.
Right. Or we blow through our money.
Right.
Or we
eat certain foods. We do,
yeah.
Sure.
Exactly. So it's in every area of life.
Oh, so good. Well, I love the work that you do, really helping people understand their patterns and why they end up in the same place, and really helping them get quiet to listen to that intuition. So if someone is listening right now, Allyson, and they just feel like, okay, I'm ready to break through some of these patterns that are subconscious, like, please help me make them more conscious. How do they do that? How do they work with you?
They can go to AllysonRoberts.com and book a session through the system there. It's free. It's a 30-minute call.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much for being such a shining light and helping people really find the outrageous freedom that they're looking for. I so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for watching the Spotlight interview. If you are ready to claim your outrageous freedom, again, you can visit AllysonRoberts.com. And thank you so much for watching. And until next time, remember to keep dreaming it, living it, and being it.